Hello and welcome to another episode of Cozy Cat Press's podcast. My name is Tina and today's guest is Penny Weibly. She's the author of Chaos at St. Cat's, a Calico Cat Detective Agency mystery, which was published in 2020. I spoke with Penny about her writing process, her favorite books, and some inspiring experiences being an English teacher.
Hello, I'm Penny Weibly, and I'm the author of the Cozy Mystery series, the Calico Detective Agency Mysteries. And I've been an English teacher and creative writing teacher, oh my goodness, for the last 35, 40 years. Love British literature, love teaching the classics from Beowulf, Chaucer, and Shakespeare to Jane Austen and the Brontes. Often I don't live in this century, but I do adore Kazuo Ishiguro. And I found over the years in my leisure time, that I would just sit down and read mysteries, sometimes cozy, sometimes more serious. And as a writer, as a teacher of writing, and about 5 years ago, I just sat down, I had the summer off and decided this was it. Now or never.
What are some inspirations for the series that you wrote?
I always start with a character who just pops into mind. And for my first book entitled Maybe Murder, I saw this little kind of, you know, uh, uptight, retired English teacher walking into a detective agency and saying, I want you to solve a murder. And when the detective asks, who died? She says, oh, it hasn't happened yet. And that just started the story.
Were you imagining yourself as the teacher or just a teacher in general?
Partly me, probably all my characters are a little bit of me, but also kind of a combination of teachers I've known and my imagination.
You seem to draw a lot of inspirations from your life. What's your creative process? Are you a plotter or do you just write as you go?
I always start with character. One of the little things I have on a post-it is, are we having fun? A cozy mystery has to have kind of a light tone, a comic edge with murder on the side. And so I will start with a character, often a character who has a problem. In my second novel, Dusty Death, this elderly man who everybody knew at the local Starbucks, he was a regular, suddenly just disappeared. And no one would have noticed except for Calico's sister and a friend, and asked, well, where is he? And that was the problem. What if there's a man that no one knows the name, nobody knows a lot about him, but he disappears? How would you go ahead and find him? And so often a character and a problem. Then I do a broad stroke outline. Sometimes I don't even know at the beginning who is the villain or the murderer in the story, if there is a murder. And I kind of love it when characters suddenly take a turn I hadn't expected. It's kind of leaving room for me to be surprised and then just go with that character and where that character's going.
Do you often experience writer's block? And if you do, how do you get rid of it?
I find that the beginning of a novel just flies, and somewhere around page 100 in the dead center of the book, that's when the torture kind of starts. And that's true for all of my novels. And I've heard that it's true for a lot of writers. And as I used to tell my students, it's something I tell myself, slog ahead, face that screen, write. Sometimes you just write and you have to throw it away, but every day, well, I'm employed full time right now, but when I have time, I kind of go ahead and try to make it a practice to write every day. And you just have to have faith that that block will dissipate and that story will start pushing forward again for you.
Were there any books that you found inspiring when you were in school, high school, or college that gave you a love for writing and literature?
I love literature. I have my PhD in 16th century poetry. So I've done British literature all my life. And I think I'll twist your question. My favorite author when I was 16, 17 to until today is Jane Austen. But you know what Austen did? She convinced me when I was a young woman that I couldn't write at all because I could never be her. And I honestly think I waited until my 60s to really complete. I had a lot of false starts, but to really complete a novel because I just wanted to be Jane and she already took her spot. Isn't that funny? It was like instead of being inspired, I was like, well, I can't be her. I give up, you know. So that was getting over a kind of a mental block for myself that I don't want to be Jane Austen anymore. I want to be myself. And I want to enjoy the process of discovery that writing is. And then it's so much fun when it's published and you see Cozy Cat's beautiful covers and you can hold the book in your hand. Yeah, that is a real thrill. The last novel, Chaos at St. Cat's, for me, I set rather boldly at a private Catholic school because I've been teaching in a Catholic school for almost 20 years now. And I thought, well, that's a little dangerous. Everybody's going to try to see who they are in the book. But it just seemed like it would be fun to get my amateur sleuth Amelia, the retired teacher, undercover as a teacher, and it would be fun to get my kind of awkward 6'2" tall redheaded detective in a girls' school coaching basketball while he's trying to solve the problems. And so I would just say, if anyone's interested in writing cozies, it is character driven and it's really about having some fun. You know, you've got to. I love description and conversation, and I often have to go, well, that was fun for me. It stopped the action absolutely cold. How do I get moving again? One time when I had a block and my characters were not going anywhere, I just wrote this sentence. And again, my detective is named Calico. And I just said, I just wrote a sentence. Calico was running fast. And I'm like, okay, I got some motion going. Now what's he running to or from?
Do you have any advice for new writers or new authors?
I think that number one is, and I'm just going to quote Stephen King obliquely here, is that writing isn't waiting for the muse to descend and give you inspiration, right? Writing's kind of, you want to treat it a little bit as a job. You show up every day for a certain amount of time and you write. And some days you get a sentence that you like, sometimes you get 5 pages, sometimes you just sit there and try to get the script, the blank page to go away. But showing up to write and keeping the faith that your characters know what they're doing, they're going to move you forward eventually. And sometimes it means rereading and rereading what you've written before to see where that next step is. Self-confidence, I don't know where I think young people are much braver than I was when I was younger. And I think that having that trust in the process is just so important. Often a first novel, maybe that won't be published, but you've got a second one in you. And now with self-publishing and the way I don't know, the market for books is changing, there are a lot more opportunities, I think, than the traditional publishing houses. I love Cozy Cat Press. Patricia has been so kind and supportive, and it's been a real pleasure.
Do you have any current or future projects that you're working on?
I don't have a title for it, but it's again, a character popped into mind. Now, unfortunately, she was dead, but it opens with a body found in Calico's office. And what kind of detective has somebody murdered in his own office, right? And I just thought that was both sad, puzzling, and funny. So that's how this one started. I'm not quite sure who did it yet, though. So that one is progressing. I've invented an international cat burglar ring, and I think it could actually work. So I'm going criminal on this one.
Do you have any final comments or anything you want to share with the audience?
Well, I am retiring from teaching at the oh gosh, in about 3 weeks. Another life as a writer. It beckons very strongly. I've got two other novels in mind, another that's not a cozy. And I think that again, if you get in that practice, whether it's exercise, yoga, meditation, or writing, and you keep that practice going so that it's a habit, a day without writing will no longer feel correct or right to you. And so that's what just show up is what I say at get to the screen or however you write, show up and make it a daily practice. It'll pay off.
Congratulations on retiring. Is there anything you're going to miss or look forward to when you retire?
I'm going to miss the kids in the classroom. It is so much fun to teach and to introduce them to books and poems that they're just old friends. I've known them from the beginning of my life practically. But I'm looking forward to writing. I'm looking forward to getting to the gym more often, maybe a little bit of travel. I'm gonna adopt another. I've only got one dog right now because my older dog passed away in November, and I'm going to get a puppy, so that will be busy. Yeah. So a lot of it, again, as human beings, we can always recreate ourselves, and I just think retirement is another opportunity to recreate and see what happens.
Thank you so much, Penny, for taking the time to speak with me, and thank you for listening. Make sure you like and follow Cozy Cat Press on all our social media.